And so to Italy, or rather to San Marino, or rather to Italy, for the first European round. San Marino is so small its Grand Prix takes place in Imola, a few miles up the autostrada from the Ferrari's factory in Italy. The Italians, and a handful of San Marinans, take their motor racing seriously, as seriously as do the Brazilians, and they flock to Imola to cheer on their beloved red cars from the start of Friday's practice. Michele Alboreto seemed to have power but lacked handling. He ended up in 6th on the grid, one behind teammate Gerhard Berger. But Friday's real excitement came from Nelson Piquet. This huge accident happened at over 170 miles an hour in the Curva Tamburello.
What I remember, the car went complete sideways, and after that I tried to close my eyes.
Piquet was no more than shaken and bruised, but Formula One's doctor, Sid Watkins, was not convinced that he should be allowed to race.
He might be fit enough, but on the other hand, he might not. And in this particular sport, and with the speeds that we've got, I don't think anybody should take an unreasonable risk. There's risk enough in driving when you're absolutely fit and on top of the whole business. And apart from his own safety, we have other people to consider around the circuit.
The accident was thought to be due to tire failure. Just to be sure, Goodyear flew in 400 new tires overnight. Well, to Piquet's disgust, he was not allowed to start. And it was Ayrton Senna who gave active suspension its first pole position, with a lap in the Lotus 12/100ths quicker than Mansell's Williams. But 2 Ferraris on row 3, that and an adequate supply of liquid refreshment was much more important to the enthusiastic crowd than the occupants of the front 2 rows.
And on those front 2 rows, the old protagonists Mansell and Senna, plus championship leader Prost and outsider Fabi. And a clean start, with Senna getting away perfectly, but Mansell's Williams immediately tucking in behind the Lotus. With no Piquet to disturb his personal battle with Senna, Nigel always looked supremely confident at Imola. All the crowded traffic was behind him, and he was waiting to pounce. Prost was playing his usual waiting game in 3rd place, ahead of the Ferraris, with Patrese Brabham 6th. All down the field, the battles raged. Lap 2, and Mansell made his challenge. His Williams was now filling Senna's mirrors, and after the curves following the pits, he chose his moment, ducking out of the slipstream to drive effortlessly round the outside into the lead. Senna fought back, but Mansell kept the door firmly shut and started to pull away. Behind them, Fabi was making up places after a first-lap brush with Chiva. Williams, Lotus, McLaren, Ferrari, Brabham, the first 6, with Patrese looking very strong. But already, Mansell's lead was huge, and Prost was able to dart neatly past Senna into 2nd place. Now, could the world champion catch Mansell and make a race of it? Alain tucked himself down in the McLaren's cockpit and went for it. A spin for Nannini's Minardi, giving De Cesaris and Alex Caffey something to think about. And now the Ferraris were on Senna's tail. Listen to the crowd as Alboreto goes ahead. Perhaps Gerhard Berger could do the same. And now, another cheer. Prost was slowing, and a Ferrari was 2nd. Although Berger, down on power, was dropping back. Alboreto led Senna through the back markers, cheered at every corner. Prost, meanwhile, was calling it a day. Patrese was driving like one possessed, outbraking Berger for 4th. Then Johansson went by into 5th, and the down-on-power Berger was peeling off into the pits and out of the race. just over 1/3 distance, and Mansell was in for tyres, earlier than planned because a wheel was out of balance. So now a Ferrari led a Grand Prix in Italy, with Senna second behind Alboreto, Patrese third, and Mansell already up to fourth. 3 laps later came Alboreto's routine stop, and then Senna's, and Mansell was back in front, with Patrese storming along in second place. Johansson, fifth, had set fastest lap so far, but in the closing stages Patrese suddenly slowed. The Senna-Alboreto battle for third became a battle for second, and Patrese's best race in recent times had been frustrated by a misfire that would drop him all the way down to 9th place. Mansell was simply in a class of his own, and as the race ran out, he was able to drive to preserve his fuel, always a worry on this circuit. With Piquet non-starting and Prost retired, there was never going to be another result today. Senna was relieved to finish second, almost half a minute down, while behind Alboreto and Johansson, Brundle and Nakajima, 2 laps down, picked up the other points.
So a Ferrari driver did get to the rostrum, but it was a Honda-powered 1-2, and Mansell had made it look easy. This duel between Senna and Mansell was fought with champagne. 2 weeks later, their confrontation would be a little less friendly.